Hello. I'm up here in what used to be my workshop, and as you can see behind me, very little has changed as far as cleaning it out. Very disheartening. The house is falling apart. It's a matter of time before the landlord is going to tear it down, and everything you see here is going in the dumpster. I'm afraid there's nothing I can do. I live in a mobile home, and I brought as much stuff over as I can, and I stored as much stuff as I'm allowed to store at a friend of mine's place, and that's it. I mean, the rest of the stuff, I just got no room for it. So, anyways, we'll get off that sad note, and I'd like to discuss very briefly how to check for phasing of your speakers. A basic simple test that can tell you the polarity so you can phase your speakers correctly. First of all, I have a few speakers here on the bench. I have other speakers that are hanging up here. Anyways, this is an 8 ohm speaker. So, in order to check and see if your speaker is 8 ohms, 4 ohms, 16 ohms, is a simple test you can make. It is not an accurate test, because impedance, the speakers are rated at impedance, and impedance varies with frequency. It's a complicated formula that I don't understand even. But basically, you can get pretty close with an ohm meter. So this is an 8 ohm speaker as marked here. So let's check this with an ohm meter. And I have my meter right here. As you can see, it's 7.2 ohms. So in that ballpark, that's an 8 ohm speaker. Now you go into one of these, not marked. We'll put the meter leads on this. 3.2 ohms. This is a 4 ohm speaker. So in that ballpark, that means that those readings are pretty close. So you can generally assume that this is a 4 ohm speaker. And this is an 8 ohm speaker. Okay. Now, for different types of speakers. Okay, this is what we call a general purpose speaker. Non-high compliance, so you'd mount this in an open back cabinet, of course. This is what we call an acoustic suspension speaker. It just so happens the surrounds have gone to hell, and it's basically the speaker's junk anyways. So there isn't much I can do with this speaker, but anyways, I wanted to show you this. A high compliance speaker, it's a longer throw on it compared to this. And the resonant point is much lower. This is how I test for resonance, by just listening by the ear, compared to the resonance of this. Here I have a 15-inch organ speaker on a baffle that I bought at a ham auction a few years ago. It is not a long throw speaker, and it works in an open back cabinet. That's an old style magnet. Here in my former tube room, I put this in about 30 years ago. That's a 12-inch Jensen speaker sitting in the wall. That used to be my bass speaker for just when I want to listen to music and stuff. It's what they call an infinite baffle. It's just a speaker in the wall, and boy, I'll tell you, you get some bass out of that. Was to mount this, which I won't, because obviously this place is going to be gone before too long. If I was to mount that on the wall and a good amplifier, boy, I'll tell you, these walls would be a-shaking. Anyways, what I want to show you now is phasing. What you basically want to happen is, and I can show you better on this speaker here, although this speaker is actually blown out. How, I don't know. The last time it was okay, but it was intermittent anyway. So you want all the cones to go either in unison or out in unison. So regardless, just because this is marked plus does not mean that this is marked plus. It could be, but it may be this one. So what you do is you momentarily put a battery across the terminals and watch which direction a battery, I say like a 1.5 volt D cell or whatever, across it, and watch the cone, whether it goes in or out. And let's say you're going to put this speaker, I wouldn't do it, but put this speaker in an enclosure, and you're going to work them together. You want them to be phased, so you want both cones to be going the same direction. You want them both to be going out, and you want them both to be going in. So make sure that when you check this one, for instance, if you're going to use a speaker, that its cone is going the same direction as this one, and then you mark the terminal accordingly, plus or minus. That plus or minus only refers to the signal when it's the audio signal when it's on the plus or on the minus of the cycle. But the good way to check this is with the battery. Here is one with a big ass magnet on it. I got this in the late 60s. And a friend of mine who was into he was very good at electronic organs and restorations. He could play them as well as repair them. We tried everything to get this damn speaker to have any bass response at all. You look at it, you think, wow, this thing would have something. The magnet on that is the biggest I've seen in any speakers that I've worked with throughout the years. But, we tried everything. We tried, this is not a soft edge cone. It's not what you'd call a long throw woofer, because it's basically a guitar speaker, guitar amp speaker. Now here is a good speaker. This is a Jensen coaxial. Here's the tweeter. The resonant point on this, listen, it's relatively high. Nothing wrong with that. These are very good speakers, and put these into an open back cabinet, you'll get some good sound out of them. I've had this speaker for, I would say, since 1968. Now, I'm going to probably try to sell this. Anyways, this speaker here, unfortunately, is a 16 ohm. Well, if you have two of these, and I'll have to look up in the loft and see if I do have two of these, because I don't remember. You put them in parallel, you got an 8 ohm system. You get some good sound out of these. I had mounted these things into infinite baffle, open box, open back cabinet, and they sound really good. This speaker, like I say, is really good, but the only thing is it's 16 ohms. And we'll look at the meter and see what a 16 ohm will read on an ohm meter. Okay, that's a 16 ohm speaker. Reading on an ohm meter, it's about 14 ohms, 13.9, 14 ohms. So when you get a reading like that, you know a 16 ohm speaker read around 14 ohms. So that's a good way to tell about the impedance of a speaker. Okay, I found the other speaker. They're in these Utah Celeste speaker boxes, but disregard that, because I remember now, I got these from a friend of mine who bought these brand new and decided to go with the Celeste. Oh, here's the other one. Again, 16 ohms, Jensen, coaxial, in other words, the woofer and the tweeter. So we'll pull this out of the box. I got to put the camera down to do that. So again, of course, high resonant point, probably over 100 cycles. But they do sound pretty good. And, alright, we're going to try to get the thing to work here by me holding the camera and putting the battery momentarily on it, on the wires. Here, these wires here go to the tweeter that come off up here, and they connect up to this terminal, these terminal posts here. And there's your tweeter. Looks like a 3-incher. Okay, let's hook that up and see what we got. Let's just give a listen. This is what you do to test for speakers, of course. That's all you need to do. You're not harming the speaker. And here I've got two nice Jensen speakers that, if anybody is interested in buying them from me, because I don't deal with eBay or anything else, I'd rather sell them to some of my YouTube friends. Whoever may be interested in them, they are for sale. The only thing, they are not in the original boxes, but they have been stored in these boxes for many, many years. And as you can see, they're nice and clean because they were kept in good condition in these boxes. This is the outside of my shop, and up here you can barely see a little tiny flicker of a fluorescent light up there is my loft, where I have some Danish 12-inch speakers also up there. I should have 3 of them. Not easy for me to get up these things anymore. What the hell have I got up here? Kind of dark. I think the Danish speakers are over here. I'm not sure though. Not 100% sure about them. Yeah, there's one of the boxes right there, Copenhagen. They are a low power speaker. They're good for like maybe 10 watts. One of which I have in the wall that I showed you before. I think I've got either 2 or I have 3. This. I even got the Tootsie Roll when I worked for a vending company back in the early 60s. That's the can. I used to do the candy route. Well, there's the box for it. There's a keep all my 50s rock and roll in there. 45 RPM country records. This is only a small collection of the records I have. The rest of them are downstairs. My dad's radio cabinet needs major work. Dial needs major work. I recapped the whole thing years ago. My dad bought that in 1957 at a yard sale for $3. It's a kind of a family keepsake, and I hate to get rid of it. It don't look like much, but she works good. Well, I think we're going to close it out for today. Thank you very much. Whatever it is you do, don't put off tomorrow what you can do today. You may like it today, and you might want to do it again tomorrow. Thank you for watching.